Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the weeds on the global market for automotive sheet metal components.
That's right. It's a fundamental part of every car, but the market itself is shifting.
Exactly. We've got this detailed 2025 market report here, and the plan is, well, to figure out what's really going on. Market size, growth, materials, applications, regions, a whole picture.
We're using the Global Automotive Sheet Metal Components Market Report 2025 from Cognitive Market Research. It gives us a good baseline for 2025, looks back a bit to 2021, and crucially, projects out to 2033.
Gives us a nice runway to look at. Okay, so the headline figure first. The size of this market in 2025, it's pretty big, right?
Oh, absolutely. The projection for 2025 is USD 118,542.5 million.
Wow, okay. Over $118 billion. And where's it headed? What's the growth look like?
Well, the forecast suggests steady growth. By 2033, it's expected to hit, let's say, USD 156,097.8353 million.
Okay, so that works out to a compound annual growth rate. Of what?
Yeah, the report calculates that at 3.50% between 2025 and 2033, using 2024 as the base year for these figures.
3.5%. Steady, like you said, not explosive, but consistent growth. But, a global number hides a lot of variation. How does it break down geographically? Where's the action concentrated in 2025?
Right, good point. In 2025, North America actually holds the biggest slice of the pie, over 40% of the global revenue. That's about USD 22,048.91 million.
40%. That's huge. But what about their growth going forward?
It's projected to be a bit more moderate. The CAGR through 2033 is forecast at 2.3%.
Okay. And within North America, the U.S. must be the giant there.
Unsurprisingly, yes,
Yeah.
the U.S. accounts for USD 17,396.59 million of that, but with a slightly lower growth rate, again, 2.1%. The report suggests this is linked to, well, stringent government regulations, safety, emissions, that kind of thing.
Right. Regulations often drive material choices. What about Canada and Mexico?
Canada's sitting at USD 2,645.87 million with a healthier 3.1% projected growth. The report hints that rising awareness, maybe around electric power, is influencing that.
Interesting connection.
And Mexico is at USD 2,006.45 million with a 2.8% CGR. Still solid.
So North America is the current leader volume-wise, but maybe not the fastest growing. How does Europe stack up?
Europe's another major player, definitely. They hold over 30% of the revenue in 2025, which is USD 18,018.46 million.
Okay, still a massive market. Growth prospects.
Actually, this is where it slows down a bit compared to the global average. The projected GTR for Europe is only 1.7%.
Wow, quite a bit lower. Any specific countries driving that or holding it back?
Well, Germany leads, naturally, but USD 3,567.66 million with 1.9% growth. Lots of big auto manufacturers there, as you'd expect.
100%.
UK is next at USD 3,027.6 billion, but with slightly better growth, actually, at 2.5%. Maybe linked to pushes for innovative tech.
Could be. And the rest of Europe.
It's a mix. France is around USD 1.6 billion, but growth under 1%. Italy, similar size, just over 1% growth. Russia's bigger, nearly 2.8 billion, but very low growth, 0.7%. Spain, too, under 1% growth. It suggests, a more mature market overall.
Yeah, established markets, slower expansion. So if North America and Europe are large but growing more slowly, where's the real growth engine?
That would be the Asia-Pacific region, APAC. That's where the story really picks up pace.
Okay, tell me about APAC.
So in 2025, they hold about 23% of the global revenue, which is a huge number in itself. USD 69,940.08 million, almost 70 billion.
Okay, substantial. But the growth.
That's the key. The projected CAGR for APAC from 2025 to 2033 is a strong 4.3%.
Right, significantly higher than North America or Europe. Who's leading the charge there? China.
China's the biggest player by far.
Oh.
USD 29,374.83 million market size, growing at 3.8%. Lots of manufacturing focus, big domestic market.
But you said 4.3% overall for the region, so someone must be growing even faster.
Exactly. Look at India. Their projected CAGR is 6.2%, starting from a 2025 base of around USD 7 billion. That's really rapid growth.
6.2%. Yeah, that's standout growth. What about other major players like Japan or South Korea?
Japan's at USD 9,651.73 million, growing at 2.8%. South Korea's USD 8,392.81 million, with a solid 3.4% growth rate. The report links South Korea's growth partly to increasing focus on environmental sustainability.
Okay. And Southeast Asia?
As a bloc, Southeast Asia is also showing very strong growth, 5.1% CAGR projected. It's clear APAC is where the momentum is strongest.
Definitely a different dynamic there. What about the smaller regions? South America, Middle East, Africa, do they follow similar patterns?
They each have their own story, but generally show decent growth potential from smaller bases. South America holds just over 5% of the market in 2025, around USD 2.9 billion.
And the growth.
Its overall CDR matches the global average, actually 3.5%. Brazil and Argentina are pushing slightly higher, 4.1% and 4.4% respectively, maybe linked to demand for energy efficiency, rising incomes.
Okay, Middle East?
The Middle East is smaller, around 2% share, about USD 3.5 billion in 2025. Growth is a bit lower at 2.6% CGR. Turkey and the UAE show slightly better rates within the region, maybe
Yeah.
3.1, 3.2%.
And Africa, the smallest share, I assume.
Yeah, around 1% share in 2025, just over USD 2 billion. But the growth outlook is quite positive, 3.9% CAGR overall.
Higher than Europe or North America.
Exactly. South Africa in particular stands out with a projected 4.8% growth, driven by investment, growing auto market perhaps.
Okay, that gives a really clear picture of the regional differences. Let's shift gears to the materials themselves, what's actually being used. Steel is traditional.
Right. And steel is still expected to dominate. It's, affordable, strong, durable. The report specifically mentions high-strength steel being preferred
Why high strength?
because it allows for weight reduction while maintaining toughness. That's crucial for, well, fuel economy and safety.
Makes sense.
Huh.
But steel is heavy. What about alternatives? Aluminum comes to mind.
And the report singles out aluminum as the fastest-growing segment,
Ah, okay. Why the fast growth?
primarily weight. It's much lighter than steel, which is a massive advantage for performance cars, but especially for electric vehicles. Less weight means more range.
Right. The EV connection is key.
Plus, it resists corrosion well, and it's relatively easy to form into complex shapes. So it's hitting a lot of the right notes for modern vehicle design, especially with emissions rules getting tighter.
So steel's the incumbent, but aluminum is really gaining ground, pushed by EVs and efficiency needs.
Okay, so where do these metal parts go in the car? What applications does the report focus on?
It breaks it down. Currently, the engine segment apparently holds the largest share.
The engine. Huh, I might have guessed body panels first. Why the engine?
Well, think about all the components needed for an internal combustion engine to work efficiently. And with the constant push for better fuel economy and lower pollution, those engine components have become more complex, requiring precise sheet metal parts.
Okay, fair enough. What other big application areas are mentioned? Anything growing fast?
Yes, the interior segment is highlighted as expanding rapidly.
The interior, what kind of sheet metal goes in there? Think structural supports for dashboards, seating components, housings for displays and electronics. As interiors get more luxurious, more tech-filled, the demand for these underlying metal structures grows. Plus, consumer demand for comfort and, a premium feel.
Right, more screens, more features, all need mounting and support. Okay, so engine leads, interiors growing fast. Now, zooming out again, what's actually pushing this whole market forward? What are the main drivers?
The report points to three main things. First, as we touched on, the growing popularity of electric automobiles. That's a huge catalyst for change, especially in materials like aluminum.
Okay, EVs number one. What else?
Second, just general expansion in the construction and automotive sectors globally. More building, more cars means more demand for the base materials and components.
Makes sense. Simple correlation.
And third, ongoing technological development.
Hmm.
Better materials, better manufacturing processes, making sheet metal components lighter, stronger, more efficient to produce.
So EVs, broader economic growth, and tech advancements. What about the brakes? Any restraints holding the market back?
Two key ones are mentioned. First is price fluctuation for raw materials. Steel and aluminum prices can be volatile, and that creates uncertainty and cost pressure for manufacturers.
Yeah, commodity prices are always a headache. The other restraint?
Strict environmental rules. Meeting increasingly tough regulations requires investment in cleaner tech, maybe more expensive materials, which can squeeze margins or slow down some market segments if not managed well.
Right, the cost of going green, essentially. Okay, drivers and restraints. What about general trends shaping the market's direction?
Two big trends identified. One is the impact of rigorous fuel effectiveness standards worldwide. This directly pushes the need for lightweighting, favoring things like high-strength steel and aluminum.
Directly related to the drivers we mentioned.
Exactly. And the second trend is the increasing attention on automotive security, or rather safety. Sorry, automotive safety.
Ah, safety. How does that impact sheet metal?
It influences the design and material properties needed for structural parts, crumple zones, passenger cell integrity. They need to be strong, yet deform predictably in a crash.
Got it. So efficiency and safety are really pushing innovation. The report mentioned a couple of company examples too, didn't it? Novelays and General Stamping?
Yeah, brief snippets. Novelty's launched a sustainability initiative, 3 by 30, focusing on carbon reduction and aluminum circularity. It really highlights how important sustainability is becoming, even as a competitive differentiator for suppliers.
A sign of the times. And General Stamping?
That was more about their versatility. They helped build a custom sign for a community project. It just shows the broader capabilities of companies working with sheet metal beyond just automotive parts.
Okay, so bringing this all together, we've covered a lot of ground. What are the main things we should take away from this deep dive into the report?
Well, I think the key points are it's a large, steadily growing global market. The shift towards electric vehicles is a major influence, particularly driving the rise of aluminum alongside the dominant steel.
Or regionally.
Regionally, while North America and Europe are the current giants in terms of market share, the real dynamic growth is clearly happening in the Asia-Pacific region, especially in places like India and Southeast Asia. That points to, potentially, a future rebalancing of the whole automotive supply chain.
It definitely feels like a market in transition, which leads to a final thought, I guess. With this massive focus on sustainability and lightweighting, you have to wonder what's next, right? Could new materials or manufacturing processes completely shake things up again in the coming years?
Absolutely. Composites, advanced plastics, maybe even additive manufacturing for certain components. It's a space ripe for innovation.
Yeah.
And as cars get smarter, more autonomous, more connected.
Will we see totally new uses for sheet metal components inside, perhaps related to sensors or battery structures we haven't even thought of?
Exactly. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. And for anyone listening who wants to dig even deeper, the full report from Cognitive Market Research is out there. Plus, checking out resources from industry bodies like ACEA in Europe or JIMA in Japan could give broader context.
Good suggestions. There's always more detail to explore.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.